Welcome back, Nerglings. Today we're going to be taking a look at Chaos Beastmen, but before we start, be sure to like, share and subscribe so you don't miss an update. The Beastmen, sometimes known as the Cloven Ones, the Horned Ones, the Beasts of Chaos, or even the Children of Chaos, are a race of savage, mutant humanoids that bear various traits of bestial appearance, such as cloven hooves, muscular human bodies, horned bestial heads, and malign primitive intelligence. Proud of their origins, it is said that they are the descendants of ancient humans, corrupted and twisted by the influence of chaos at the dawn of chaos's coming into the world. From deep within the twisted forested woodlands of the old world and beyond, the Beastmen are a violent, war-driven race that seeks only to plague and destroy the civilizations of mankind. They prey on the weak and defenceless, striking at lonely settlements without warning in a rampage of destruction before disappearing into the dark wilderness.
It is in the darkest reaches of the world that the Beastmen lurk, the caves and forests of the old world that have long since been abandoned to nature. A nature twisted and mutated by the power of chaos.
To the citizens of the Empire, Bretonnia, and the other nations of the old world, the Beastmen have come to represent creatures from a half-remembered age of nightmare. Men deceive themselves that the danger has passed, that they are safe in their walled towns, that their steel and gunpowder, wizards' arts, and engineers' crafts will hold at bay the lowly beast things that haunt the woodlands. Men tell themselves that the creatures of the forest are disorganised and incapable of fielding armies that can threaten the crenellated, high-walled cities. They are quite wrong. To underestimate the Beastmen is a fatal mistake. The Cloven Ones are creatures of violence and conflict, and they are far more cunning than the Empire believes. Worse still, the more noble and haughty the foe, the more the Beastmen are driven to prove their own supremacy by casting him down from his lofty pedestal and trampling his body beneath blood-encrusted, filthy hooves. As such, these unruly, coarse and foul creatures would go to war with savage intent, slaughtering the civilized races like cattle, burning down and shattering their homes, and stomping on the remains with their cloven hooves, until there is nothing left but devastation and ruin. It is said that so long as chaos reigns over this world, the Beastmen shall plague the lands of mankind for all eternity. In their most primal core, the Beastmen are indeed a fusion of man and beast, a transformation that came about when the gates of heaven collapsed and the influence of chaos smothered the world in its grip. The term Beastman is often used to describe a whole spectrum of different animal-like beings of varying appearance and distinction. To an extent, a Beastman is also classified as a mutant. Unfortunately, no scholar can truly say with certainty where a mutant ends and a Beastman begins. There is no absolute dividing line between human and mutant, between mutant and Beastman, or between Beastman and demon. Rather, there is simply a spectrum of taint. Nevertheless, all Beastmen are seen to be spiteful and mean-spirited creatures that revel in bloodshed, loathe order and the very concept of civilization in all its forms. Beastmen are not believed to be creatures of nature, for there is nothing natural about their existence. The herdstones and rituals of the Beastmen corrupt the very essence of nature itself. It is for this reason Beastmen are especially loathed by the wood elves of Athel Loren, for whom the Beastmen have been fighting a gruelling secret war for centuries. The Beastmen all worship the gods of chaos as the one true divine power of the world. They are the product of their corruption and as such are wholly dedicated to the spreading of their will to all lands of the old world and beyond. As these Beastmen pursue their endless hunt against all civilization, some Beastmen commit such acts of savagery and bloodshed that the attentions of the dark gods themselves are turned their way. Ordinarily, the ruinous powers pay little heed to the deeds of the Beastmen, knowing that the children of chaos will enact their will regardless of any gifts or rewards offered. The Beastmen are utterly enthralled to the magnificence of chaos and are thus totally free of any constraints imposed by these malign gods upon their thoughts and actions. They do as they please, and, in doing so, serve chaos with every shred of their being. Though they do not truly comprehend it, the Beastmen are a vital part of the ruinous power's eternal quest to subsume the world in a roiling, turbulent tide of unreasoning change and constant war. It is the Beastmen that tear down the elegant elven waystones that hold the power of chaos in check and replace them with herdstones, primitive shrines that corrupt the earth around them. It is the Beastmen that hunt down and kill those who would otherwise remain out of the reach of the Chaos Gods. It is the Beastmen who plague the civilizations of mankind, ensuring that their people shall not progress past their primitive states for centuries to come. So it is that the Cloven Ones remain at the forefront of the war against order and light, a war that only continues to escalate to apocalyptic proportions. Herd sites are often set up around the sacred herdstones that are scattered throughout the dark forests of the old world. Sometimes referred to as the Chaos Heart, herdstones are sacred to the Beastmen, and all manner of offerings are left there to appease and earn the favour of the gods. Weapons, armour, the banners of vanquished foes and the corpses of mutilated enemies can all be found piled around the base of these stones. The herdstones are always erected in places of magical significance, usually over one of the baleful meteors that brought the Beastmen into being all those ages ago. They are well hidden, and there are almost always Beastmen, warherds and Minotaur tribes nearby because of it. The floor of the clearing in which the herdstone stands is often strewn with an ankle-deep carpet of bones, the remains of captives taken in battle and sacrificed by the brave shamans to the dark glory of the ruinous powers. Most herdstones are located far from human settlements, for no such settlement founded near one has survived more than a single season. They are often hidden in the darkest and most inaccessible parts of the forests, deep within caves or on mountaintops. Any intrusion within 100 leagues of a herdstone will cause every warherd in the region to descend upon the intruder with unrelenting wrath. Sometimes, particularly powerful Minotaurs take up the role of the keepers of the herdstones, becoming the fearful guardians of these most sacred Beastmen shrines. To gather the warbands, a raging signal fire is lit in the centre of the herdstone circle. Often, shamans throw mind-altering herbs upon the blaze, sending up great swaths of strangely coloured smoke curling into the sky. This fire is stoked with wood and carrion and left to burn for days on end. Over the following nights, other Beastmen will slowly gather at the sacred stones, attracted by the fire and the smell of burning fat. Each arriving chieftain scratches his name or mark into the central stone in the crude Beastman version of the Dark Tongue, known simply as the Beast Tongue, and his warband sets up camp. It is at the herdstones that most of the important celebrations and festivals of the Beastmen take place. They are the rallying points where warbands can meet and join together without fighting breaking out instantly. They are also the place for feasting, most importantly the ritualistic Champions Feast, where the flesh of slain chieftains is consumed by the herd. As you can see, little progress has been made on what is probably one of the more interesting parts of the army, the Beastmen. However, due to work commitments and a moderate lack of motivation to start painting them, the Beastmen have unfortunately taken a backseat. I'm hoping, probably in vain I might add, that the addition of the made to order box set with Gorthor in will get me interested in them a bit more. They will get done eventually, I'm sure of that. When is another matter. I hope you enjoyed this retro look at some of my old models. Which one did you like the best and why? Be sure to comment, like and subscribe, and thanks very much for watching. Peace.